You're watching MH Nation. Get the latest NBA news, transfer rumors, and match updates fast. Like, share, and subscribe to stay ahead of the game.
Breaking. Lakers finally end Kuminga saga. Plus blockbuster Trey Murphy trade bomb. Plus PJ Washington truth. Plus Bulls trade target revealed. Lakers Nation, buckle up, because in the last 24 hours, the front office may have ended a month-long saga. A blockbuster three-team trade proposal just surfaced, sending a 21-point score to Luka Doncic. A shocking truth about a Doncic reunion just got shut down, and a sneaky Bulls trade target could quietly fix the Lakers frontcourt. If you only watch one Lakers video today, make it this one, because every single one of these stories changes the outlook of this roster before training camp. Let's get into it. So grab a drink, get comfortable, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and let's break down everything you need to know. Story number 1 is up first, and it might be the biggest domino of the entire offseason. The $45 million update that could end it all. Lakers reportedly give Kuminga a $45 million answer. Is the month-long chase finally over? Lakers Nation, this might be the update we've all been waiting for, because after a full month of back and forth, mixed signals, and a rotating cast of suitors, the Lakers have reportedly put real numbers on the table for Jonathan Kuminga, and it could finally end this saga once and for all. Let's rewind for a second, because if you haven't been glued to this story every single day like I have, you need the full picture. Jonathan Kuminga hit restricted free agency this summer after parting ways with the Golden State Warriors, and from the jump, the Lakers were circling. This is a 23-year-old former lottery pick with legitimate athletic tools, someone who flashed real two-way upside in spurts during his time in the Bay Area. For a Lakers team that lost LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard in a stretch that gutted their wing depth, Kuminga represented exactly the kind of high upside swing they needed to make. But this has been anything but simple. For weeks, the sticking point has been money. Reports have had Kuminga seeking a deal north of $20 million a year, sometimes reportedly asking for figures closer to $30 million annually in earlier negotiations. The Lakers, meanwhile, have been trying to structure a sign and trade that keeps them from blowing past the first apron, a hard financial line the front office has been extremely disciplined about respecting all summer. Now here's where it gets interesting. According to Lakers insider Jovan Buha, there's finally a realistic middle ground on the table. Buha reported that Kuminga has been looking for something closer to $20 million a year, while the Lakers' comfort zone has sat further below that mark, but the gap may finally be closing. Buha explained it like this. If both sides could find some sort of middle ground, a deal in the range of 3 years and $45 million starts to make a lot of sense for everyone involved. Think about that for a second. 3 years, $45 million. That's real, workable money for a Lakers team trying to stay disciplined around the apron while still adding a genuine talent to the wing rotation. It's not the max-level deal Kuminga's camp originally floated, but it's a number that lets both sides walk away feeling like they got something out of this month-long standoff. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. The structure everyone's been circling involves a sign-and-trade with the Atlanta Hawks, since Kuminga's restricted free agency rights sit with a team he's since parted ways with in this scenario, and reports have consistently linked Jared Vanderbilt as a centerpiece the Lakers would be willing to send out, potentially packaged with additional draft compensation to sweeten the pot for Atlanta. Now, it hasn't all been smooth sailing on the recruiting trail either. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in this race for weeks, and honestly, they looked like real threats. But recent reporting suggests Cleveland may have removed themselves from serious contention after making other moves at the forward position, which, if true, clears a massive obstacle out of the Lakers' path. And even with Cleveland stepping back, don't sleep on the noise around Minnesota and Milwaukee, both of whom have reportedly been floated as potential dark horse suitors if this Lakers deal somehow stalls out again. So where does that leave us? If this $45 million framework is close to accurate, we could be looking at the Lakers finally landing their guy before training camp even opens. And here's why that matters so much for the bigger picture. Every single day this saga drags on is a day the Lakers can't fully finalize their rotation, can't fully game plan around a completed roster, and can't give Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves clarity on who's actually going to be next to them on the wing this season. Now, I want to hear from you, Lakers fans. 3 years, $45 million for Jonathan Kuminga. Steal of the offseason? Or still too rich for a guy who's never made an all-star team? Drop your take in the comments below, because I guarantee this section is about to get heated. The blockbuster Trey Murphy proposal. Insane 3-team, 5-player trade proposal would send Trey Murphy III to play next to Luka Doncic. Now Lakers Nation, buckle up for this next one, because this is the kind of blockbuster proposal that could completely reshape the Western Conference. A 3-team, 5-player mega deal that would send a career-high 21.5 point per game scorer straight into the starting lineup next to Luka Doncic. Okay, I need to preface this one clearly. This is a hypothetical trade proposal, not a confirmed report. But it's the kind of scenario that's worth breaking down in full, because it perfectly captures exactly what Lakers fans have been begging the front office to pursue all summer. Real, difference-making star power on the wing. Here's the situation. It is no secret the Lakers are searching for star-level talent after losing LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard in rapid succession, 4 players who combined for the overwhelming majority of the Lakers' wing production a season ago. And while the front office has added several depth pieces since, none of them project as a true starting caliber difference maker. The name that keeps coming up in almost every Lakers conversation is Jonathan Kuminga, which we just covered, but that pursuit has hit standstill after standstill. So what if the Lakers pivoted and looked at the trade market instead? That's exactly the premise of this proposal, which centers around New Orleans Pelicans wing Trey Murphy III, the same name that has floated around Lakers trade chatter all summer long. Murphy is still stuck in New Orleans, a franchise that just won a jaw-dropping 26 games last season, and, for reasons that remain genuinely confusing to the basketball world, appears content running it back with largely the same roster. Here's how the framework reportedly works. In this proposal, the Lakers pick up the phone and loop in both the Pelicans and the Brooklyn Nets to build a 3-team megadeal. The Lakers would receive Trey Murphy III and Moritz Wagner. The Pelicans would receive Jared Vanderbilt, Adu Thiero, Jake LaRavia, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick coming by way of Brooklyn, and 2 additional Lakers second-round picks in 2031 and 2032. And the Nets would come away with Cameron Carr, Dalton Knecht, and Bronny James. Now let's talk about why each team might actually consider pulling the trigger on something like this. For the Lakers, this is a massive bet on Murphy as the missing piece. He's a legitimate 3-and-D wing with genuine all-star upside, and pairing him alongside Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves gives Los Angeles a top-heavy core that could realistically push for the Western Conference Finals. But the cost is real. Cameron Carr and Adu Thiero are both viewed as future star-caliber young talents, and giving both of them up in one swoop is a steep price for a Lakers front office that spent the last year trying to rebuild its draft capital and young talent base. For New Orleans, this trade is about a total reset. They walk away with substantial draft capital, a potential future all-star in Thiero, and a still developing talent in LaRavia, an enormous return for a player who, and I want to stress this again, has never made an all-star team. For a franchise sitting near the bottom of the standings, that kind of package is exactly the kind of long-term value teams dream about extracting. And then there's Brooklyn, who might walk away the happiest of all three. For giving up just 2 draft picks, only one of them a true first-rounder, the Nets land 3 players all 25 years old or younger. For a franchise that is clearly, unapologetically building for the future, that return is a home run. So is Trey Murphy actually worth all this? Let's look at the numbers. Murphy put up a career-high 21.5 points per game last season, shooting right around 38% from beyond the arc. At just 26 years old, he'd slot in perfectly within Luka Doncic's competitive timeline, giving the Lakers a genuine third scoring option they simply have not had since LeBron walked out the door. Now, again, this is a hypothetical proposal built for debate, not a confirmed front office plan. But I want to know what you think. Would you give up Cameron Carr and Adu Thiero for a proven 21-point scorer like Trey Murphy right now? Or is that too much long-term potential to sacrifice for a short-term ceiling raise? Sound off in the comments. The PJ Washington truth. Insider finally breaks down the real odds of a PJ Washington-Luka Doncic reunion. And this next story should honestly put a lot of Lakers fans' minds at ease, because a prominent insider just gave the most detailed, honest breakdown yet of whether PJ Washington could actually reunite with his old Dallas Mavericks running mate Luka Doncic. And the answer is a lot more complicated than fans want to hear. If you spend any time in Lakers online spaces, you already know this name pops up constantly, PJ Washington. And it makes total sense why. Washington spent real time playing alongside Luka Doncic in Dallas before Doncic's blockbuster move to Los Angeles. And that shared chemistry has made Washington one of the most persistent names in Lakers trade speculation all offseason. But is there anything real here? According to Lakers insider Jovan Buha, there might actually be one legitimate pathway, but it's a lot narrower than most fans assume. Buha broke it down on a recent Lakers mailbag episode, explaining that based on how close the Lakers currently are to the first apron, they simply cannot execute the kind of expendable money for Washington swap that fans keep proposing online. Deals involving guys like Jaden Hardy and Dalton Connect, or Dalton Connect and Jake LaRavia. Those packages might look easy on a trade machine, but Buha explained the real complication. Those are exactly the kind of contracts the Lakers were never planning to keep on the books anyway, which is precisely what makes them appealing trade chips for Dallas. But the second the Lakers take back Washington's actual salary, the apron math changes completely. So what would a legal, realistic trade for PJ Washington actually require? Buha laid it out clearly. At an absolute minimum, it would take Jaden Hardy and Jake LaRavia going out the door just to match salary while keeping the Lakers under the first apron. And that's before even discussing draft compensation. Buha estimated the Lakers would likely need to attach at least 3 of their 4 available draft assets on top of that. Alternatively, he floated Jared Vanderbilt as another legal salary matching piece that could technically work in a Washington framework. Now here's the part that really tempers expectations. Lakers insider Kobe Price has previously reported that the front office doesn't view Washington as an especially flattering trade target, specifically because of his contract. Washington is owed a fully guaranteed $88.8 million over the next 4 years, and per Price's reporting, that number simply hasn't been appealing enough for the Lakers to aggressively pursue a deal. And to put the final nail in the speculation coffin for now, NBA insider Jake Fisher reported earlier this month that the Lakers and Mavericks haven't even engaged in real trade talks involving any player, let alone Washington. Fisher specifically addressed the persistent PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford chatter on the Bleacher Report Insider Notebook livestream, stating flatly that he has no real inclination the two front offices have discussed either player of real consequence this offseason. So where does that leave things? Right now, the Washington to Lakers connection remains almost entirely speculation-driven, fueled by the Doncic connection and fan wish casting, rather than any real momentum behind the scenes. And honestly, given everything we just covered about the Kuminga pursuit heating up, it makes sense the front office's real energy is going elsewhere right now. Lakers fans, be honest in the comments. Are you still holding out hope for a PJ Washington reunion with Luka, or has this ship officially sailed for you? The sneaky Bulls trade target. This overlooked Bulls big man Jalen Smith could quietly fix the Lakers' frontcourt problem. Let's close things out with a name that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention this offseason, because a report out of Chicago suggests the Lakers front office actually has real interest in a Bulls big man who could quietly solve a front-court need almost nobody's talking about. While most of the Lakers offseason conversation has centered around star-level wing additions, there's a quieter story developing that deserves its own spotlight, because it involves the Lakers front court, an area of the roster that's undergone a real transformation this summer. Here's the backdrop. The Lakers moved on from DeAndre Ayton this offseason and brought in both Walker Kessler and Kevon Looney to reshape their front court rotation. That's a meaningful shift in identity down low. And according to The Athletic's Dan Wojcicki, there's another name worth watching closely: Chicago Bulls forward Jalen Smith. Wojcicki's reporting indicates Smith genuinely has fans within the Lakers front office, and when you look at his profile, it's easy to see why. Smith has 1 year and $9.5 million remaining on his current contract, giving him real trade value as an expiring, movable piece. He also brings positional flexibility, capable of playing both forward spots, along with a modest but real perimeter shooting profile that fits the kind of spacing modern NBA front courts crave. Now here's the twist that makes this story even more interesting. This potential trade might actually help both sides for very different reasons. For Chicago, moving Smith could solve a roster logjam of their own making. With Nick Claxton and Caleb Wilson now firmly in the mix up front, and Wilson specifically cemented as the Bulls' starting power forward of the future, playing time is about to get extremely crowded. That squeeze is especially bad news for Noah Esengwe, a promising young forward who desperately needs consistent minutes to keep developing in his second season. With both Smith and Patrick Williams still on the roster, those opportunities for Esengwe simply aren't there right now. Moving Smith wouldn't just clear a logjam, it would also send a signal that Chicago is fully committed to their young core over short-term floor raising, and it would remove any temptation to extend Smith's contract when it expires next offseason, since there's currently no clear long-term fit for him in the Bulls' timeline anyway. For the Lakers, the appeal is straightforward. If Los Angeles is willing to send back a player with a better fit for Chicago's timeline, or additional draft compensation, adding a front-court piece like Smith who can fill in behind or alongside Kessler and Looney would be, in the words of the reporting, an easy call for a Lakers team still fine-tuning its front-court depth heading into the season. Now this one is still very much in the speculation stage. No formal trade talks have been reported publicly yet. But when a front office is described as having real, genuine interest in a specific player, that's usually a sign there's smoke building somewhere behind the scenes. This is exactly the kind of quiet depth move that never makes the biggest headlines, but ends up mattering a whole lot come February and March when injuries pile up and rotations get tested. Lakers fans, would you want to see the front office go after a front court depth piece like Jalen Smith? Or should all the remaining offseason resources go toward closing out the Kuminga deal instead? Let me know down below. And that wraps up today's video, Lakers Nation. To recap everything we covered, the Kuminga saga may finally be reaching a resolution around a 3-year, $45 million framework. A wild 3-team blockbuster proposal has Trey Murphy landing in Los Angeles alongside Luka Doncic. The PJ Washington rumors remain far more complicated and far less likely than most fans assume. And a sneaky front-court target in Jalen Smith could quietly round out the roster before the season even tips off.